Hi everybody, it's Kim, and today we're going to be talking about crystals to help you with decision making. Now we all have these opportunities that come up in our lives and we think, should we, shouldn't we? What are the pros and cons? And we're worried about making decisions, especially really big decisions that can really impact your life, not just today, but in the future. Now there is this thing called the 10-10-10 rule, or the 10-10-10 method of decision making, and it was brought about by Susie Welch. And what this talks about is, think about this when you come up with this opportunity or something comes along and you have to make a decision. Think about this. How am I going to feel in the next 10 minutes? How does this affect me in the next 10 minutes? Is it going to make me really happy? Is it like immediate gratification? Like I have to have that now and you feel good now? But then how about 10 months from now? How are you going to feel about that 10 months from now? Think about that. If you got a new job, a new house, the first 10 minutes, it all seems great, but then down the road, 10 months from now, what do you think? Or how about 10 years from now? How does this affect you? So this is something to really think about before you make a decision. And also, of course, you hear about pros and cons. Something I love to do is I write down all the pros and cons. And I'm honest with myself. I don't need to share it with anybody else. I really just think, what are the pros and cons? Is it about money? Is it about location? Is it about relationships? How is this going to affect me? How is this going to affect other people around me? And then another thing to consider is what resonates with you. You really have to think about what feels right to you. And it's really hard to decide whether something feels right to you, especially when it's something related to a relationship or financial needs. Should I take this job? Should I not take this job? Yes, I really need the money, but no, I really hate that line of work. And I can't tell you what's right for you. As psychics, other people can't tell you what's right for you. You really have to go in deep, dig deep. Go within to find these answers. That is really the best advice anybody can give you, is that only you can make that decision for you. You can certainly look around, look at what the universe is offering you, look at those signs and synchronicities. If you're unsure about something, does it keep coming up through music, through conversation, through Facebook posts or silly memes? Somebody in line at the grocery store is talking about this and you're like, oh my gosh, all right, so this is definitely a sign from the universe. So look for those, and you have to put it all together like a big cosmic puzzle. It's really how you decide. But I want to talk about crystals and different crystals that you can use to help you make that decision. Okay, they're not going to make the decision for you, but they can help you get into a certain vibrational frequency to help you have more clarity, to relieve the stress and the pressure, to help you become more heart-centered, to help you increase your intuition so that you can make that all-important decision. So let's start off with one of my favorites, which is fluorite. I have my little pile of crystals over here. So you have fluorite. Okay, this is a rainbow. It's not really going to show up. This is a rainbow fluorite. That's a really big chunk. I do have smaller ones that I do like to put on my third eye during meditation. I also like to sleep with the fluorite, something I've been doing a lot lately. Now, what fluorite does is fluorite grounds the spiritual energy. And it also helps you to focus. It's very important for you to focus when you have to make an important decision. Because if you're all over the place, nilly-willy, and you're thinking about so many things, it's not going to help you with that decision, right? You need to zone in, narrow in, and focus so that you can make a good decision, a decision that's best for you and those around you. Okay? So fluorite's really good for that. Another one is amethyst. I have a little amethyst druze here. This one has record keepers, actually. All right, record keepers are said to help you with, ancient knowledge and such. So amethyst is really good for enhancing your intuition. And it's also great for enhancing your working on your third eye for intuition, for knowledge, so that you can see the bigger picture. So amethyst is a really good one. One, of course, you guys know this one. One to help you with stress relief and also intuition, knowledge, third eye type of stuff is a lepidolite. Now, lepidolite, you can put it on the third eye, you can meditate with it, you could put it under your pillow. Lepidolite's really good for stress management. It has lithium in it, and especially if you're working with a rough piece, okay, all that like sparkly mica goodness in there, when you're working with a rough piece, because that can actually like enter your physical body, okay, and help calm you so that you're not stressed about making your decision. See, when you're making decisions, you want to make sure you're in a place of peace, of so that you're centered. You want to be centered. And one thing that I don't have with me is black tourmaline, because that's another one. You want to make sure you're grounded, or lodestone. You want to make sure that you're very grounded when you're making this decision as well. You don't want to be all like out there, okay? So lepidolite helps with stress, so that you're not anxious about making this decision. You can be in a calm, cool, collected state of being when you're making your decision. Okay, well, we're talking about ground. I briefly talked about grounding because I think that's important, is to be grounded. So the black tourmalines and stuff like that. But you can also use smoky quartz. Now, smoky quartz is good for grounding. It's also good for fear reduction, so that you're not fearful about your decision. And sometimes we have these barriers and we have these fears and we're afraid to make that decision because we've learned from other situations, or we're afraid to take that job. We've had a job similar to that before, but that doesn't mean that new job isn't going to be any different. It might be a different situation, even though it's the same type of job. It's in a different place with different people. You don't know. So smoky quartz is really good to help with fear reduction, so that you're not fearful when you're making your decisions. Okay. Chevron amethyst is also really good for intuition, third eye, crown chakra type of work. Okay, so you can use this. It's actually great for third eye and crown. I love working with chevron amethyst. We talked about fluorite, but I didn't show you my fluorite octahedron, because fluorite octahedrons are great for grounding as well. So fluorite, I was saying, fluorite helps with intuition and focus, but it also grounds the spiritual energy. So because of its shape, its octahedron shape, it helps to ground that. Okay, so it's kind of like bringing the heaven and the earth together. So that's a really good one. Let's see. Other crystals that I like to use, well, you can go with, if you're into scrying, you can go with a clear quartz sphere, a ball. You can do the whole crystal ball thing. I have a video about scrying, and I'll put that link below, so check that out. So you can certainly look inside to see if there's any messages inside your crystal ball. Again, I like to stress that when making decisions, I do like to go within more so than asking outside of myself. That's just a personal thing, okay? So I just want to be clear on that. But you can do scrying. You can also use a shungite ball, jet, or black obsidian for scrying. Again, I have a video on that. And if you want to contact angels, or go outside yourself to look for answers, you can use something like an angel light. If you're into that kind of thing, you can use an angel light for communication. You can also use this for communicating with higher self, okay? Or going deep within yourself. I think that's really important. Another crystal you can use that will help you with clarity is Iceland spar, also called optical calcite. I love it. You can use this on the crown chakra. If you have a smaller piece, you can place it on the third eye. You can even look inside it, and this helps you to have more clarity on a situation. Kind of gives you different perspectives of things, okay? Apophyllite is another great one for working on the crown chakra, third eye kind of stuff. I have a huge apophyllite collection. I love apophyllite. You can meditate with it. You can sleep with it just in small doses because it can be very, very powerful. So apophyllite is a really, really good one for that as well. Another thing that I think is actually really, really very important, maybe even more so than working on third eye and crown chakra, um, is working on the heart chakra. I think that it's so important when you're making a decision to go with what feels right to you, coming from a love-based, heart-based type of decision, I think is so important. And one of the crystals that I love to use for this is pink dambarite. Now, pink dambarite is great for the heart chakra, but it's also, in my experience, helps with that mind heart connection because it does have the high vibration of working on the crown, and then it also, with the pink, has this vibration of working on the heart. Even regular dambarite is a heart-based crystal as well. So you could do pink, or you can do um, a clear dambarite. Either one helps you with this heart and mind connection, which is really important when you're making decisions. And another one that I find that's really helpful in establishing a heart-mind connection is pink tourmaline in quartz. Okay, I find that this is really, really helpful. It's like a little connection. It really helps to establish that connection in my experience. And sometimes I just do it just by holding it for a few minutes and thinking about what it is, what decision I'm trying to make. And I just hold it in my left hand because that's the left hand's connected to the heart. So that's a really good place to hold your crystals, especially when you're trying to establish a connection and establish a heart relationship to get an answer from your heart. That's a really good place to hold your crystal, left hand, or place on the heart chakra. And this might be the last one. I think this is the last one I have. Citrine. And I say citrine because I think it's when you're making a decision, it's also important to remember that you can manifest really anything, that you want to manifest, right? So the citrine helps with your power center, your solar plexus. And when you're making a decision, you want to make sure that you're in a place of power and control, okay, so that you know that you don't have to just take anything that comes along. You don't have to stay in that relationship just because of whatever reason, that you have the control and the power to make changes. And so I think it's important to use a crystal like citrine. You can also use pyrite or yellow jasper or anything along those lines. Yellow calcite is really good for that. But for my go-to for anything related to manifestation and my sense of power, my confidence, my sense of control, I like to go with citrine, and I really prefer natural over the heat treated or heat baked amethyst, though both work. Okay, so those are the crystals that I recommend for making important decisions in your life. Remember, only you can make that decision. Now, ways to use these crystals, like I said, I kind of was giving some tips along the way, but most of the time, you can meditate with these crystals. You can place them on the different chakras. You can put them under your pillow. You can carry them. You can make gem elixirs. You can make sprays, things along those lines. I think meditation is key here, though. Being in a place when you are calm, centered, and grounded and focused to make that decision, I think is a really important way to work with these crystals. It's not something that you're just gonna do overnight, bam. Though sometimes, you might actually have a vision or a sudden knowing, and keep track of that. And then other ways you can use the crystals are You can use a pendulum. I didn't bring out my pendulums, but you can use a pendulum if you have, it doesn't even have to be a crystal pendulum. It could be a ring on a string. It really doesn't matter. But you can use a pendulum to help you make decisions. You can use oracle cards or tarot cards, anything along those lines, crystal readings and things like that. But I really do stress the importance of making the decision on your own and going deep within to find that what's right for you and those around you. So those are the crystals I like to use when I'm making a decision. How about you? Let me know in the comments below. What crystals do you like to use that help you to make decisions? If you haven't done so already, please take a moment to subscribe. And as always, have a blessed day. Bye.